Hi everyone! Now that you've had a chance to watch the intro to bank reconciliations and how to make a deposit in Sage, let's now look at reconciling the bank statement. And if you remember back from bookkeeping or from Financial Accounting 1 or even the first video I made, what we're reconciling is the actual company's bank statement. So from the actual bank, and this is a picture of the bank statement that we're reconciling from page 592. And we're comparing that to, if we go to reports, financials, general ledger, and we want our checking account, our bank account. And this is what we're comparing it to. And if you see here, the ending balance is 51,305.51, and that's at the end of January. And if we look at our actual bank account, it's telling us 47,167.36 cents. So they're not the same. Okay, so what we need to do is find out why. Whether it's a timing issue, something's going to go through the bank but it hasn't gone through yet, such as a late deposit. And sometimes there's stuff that has gone through our bank statement, like a service charge, that we haven't recorded in our books yet. And that's what we are going to do now. Okay. So, as I've mentioned before, the company has just started using Sage over the last month. They've just put in their first electronic deposit using deposit slips. And now we're looking to reconcile the bank account in Sage with the bank statement from our physical bank. So the first thing we need to do, which again, once it's done, it won't have to be done again, is setting it up so that we can actually do this. And this is a step on page 589, set up account reconciliation for the bank, checking account, and the bank credit cards. Okay, so you can start following it from there. So the first thing for you to do is click on the bank checking account here on your screen, and then that'll take us to the actual setup of your checking account through the chart of accounts. So as you can see, it is a subgroup. So what we want is reconciliation and deposits. Then we want to click here and say Save Transactions for Account Reconciliation. And then once we do that, we're going to say Set Up. Okay? So now what we need to do is, what this is giving us the ability to do by setting this up is to, as we're actually doing the bank reconciliation, we can create journal entries right then and there so that we can make sure that we balance. So if we see that the bank account, the bank statement from the actual bank has a bank charge put through or even interest revenue, we can record it right then and there. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set it up so that we've got our interest income goes into the account called interest revenue. Then once that's done, we're going to say non-applicable to this entry, the third income non-applicable, and then come down to adjustment, okay? And what we want to put here is, and you can see this on page 591, we want it to go to an account called 50/50 Reconciliation Adjustments. Okay, so we know that that doesn't exist, 50/50. So we want to actually create the account. So we want to add the account. We want 50/50, and we want it called Reconciliation Adjustments. So if there's something that you absolutely can't figure out what it is, this is an account that you can put it to for now so that when you have more time, you can really dive deep into it and figure out what is going on. Okay, so we want to click next and just accept. There we go. Okay, so from there, again, we're going to go back in. And so we've got the reconciliation adjustment set up. So now we want to come up here to the expenses, and where it says bank charges, we want to put it to bank charges. And for expense 2, for the NSF charges, we want to actually have that go to bank charges as well. And then we want to, okay, so for this third expense, we're again just going to put NA. And again, just in case you're not sure, NA stands for non-applicable. So we're not going to put anything through as an expense 3. Okay, so we're going to click OK there. And we are done. So the book is going to get you to continue on and set it up for the actual credit card, so the bank credit card. But for the sake of my video, I'm going to close this now, and we are going to move on to doing a bank reconciliation, or at least start it, okay? So what we want to do is we want to, sorry about that. So at this point, what you want to do in order to start looking at doing the bank reconciliation, it would be a good idea, if at all possible, for you to, again, go to the general ledger for your cash account. And maybe even print that off, okay? And then take this statement, compare it to the textbook, and see what does match, okay? So for example, you can see the first number as a credit is 926.10, and you can also see that in your bank account statement, you have a 926.10 as well. And then there's a 330 that matches, and a 241.50 that matches, and on and on and on. So I'd say take a moment and compare those two, just so you can see what is the same and what is different. And then once you've done that, you'll know that there's a few different things that need to be taken care of, okay? And there's actually some information on the side of page 592 to talk about that one of the deposits from December is outstanding, so we're going to learn how to put in an outstanding amount. And then the deposit totals are there. We need to put in service charges. We need to put in interest received. And you'll see down at the bottom, or your last credit, it says 2100, and that's for Save or Trust, a pre-authorized withdrawal. But you can see in the notes that your bank actually took it out as 2 separate amounts. So we've got it recorded in our general ledger as 2100, but the bank has taken it out as 600 and 1500. But that's okay. So they do match, they're just in there a little bit different, but they're both in there. They're in there in the general ledger, and they're in there in your bank account. Okay, so now you've done that. Again, I'm not doing every step by step, but just giving you an idea of what you need to do. Okay, so now in order to reconcile, we're going to go to Reconcile Accounts, and this is our screen in order to start reconciling, okay? So the question is, what do we want to reconcile? So we're going to say Account, and then what's the account we're going to reconcile? It is the actual checking account. And once you set up the bank credit card, that will show up there as well as one of your options. But if you remember, I didn't set up the credit card one, just the actual bank. So what it's asking you as well, and again, when you're going through this, go through step by step as you always do. but we want it from January 1st to January 31st, and the reconciliation date is January 31st. Now, what it also wants you to do is put in the statement opening balance, okay? And where you get your opening balance is from your actual bank account on page 592. So the opening balance was $37,238. The closing balance was $47,167 and 36. And remember, I'm getting this from the actual bank statement. So bank statement reconciliation. Okay. So what it's saying there is, okay, well, maybe the first thing you need to do is set up any prior amounts outstanding. And it did tell us that there was one. And that's the first thing that shows up on our bank statement on page 592 is $11.77. So let's go in here. Do you want to save changes you've made to the journal? Yes. Okay. Okay. So now what it's telling us, and we've kind of jumped ahead a little bit through some of the words, but again, when you're doing it yourself, please read through. And it says, yes, we want to click Insert Outstanding. So what we want to do is we want put in 5117 to enter the client's check number as the source, 5117. We want to say Twilight. And we've got the date is December 31st. And we want to move to the deposits column, and it's 1177. Okay, so now we have that one in there that we can reconcile through. And now, as you can see, it's showing us everything that's possible for us to reconcile. So all I'm doing is making it a little bit bigger by pulling it up, and now I've got everything showing. So now what it wants us to do, now that we have that outstanding, we want to clear the journal entries, okay? So we want to make sure that it's whatever has gone through the bank has also gone through our general ledger. So you can start comparing the two. So we know that 1177, if you look on page 592, we know 1177 is cleared, so we're going to check it. And now you can see it says cleared, okay, as opposed to outstanding. We know that 92610 is on both. We saw that. We know that our 437545 has cleared, so we can clear that. Okay, so again, you're seeing what's on your screen right now, which is coming from your general ledger, and you're comparing it to the bank statement on page 592 to make sure that everything matches, okay? And once it's cleared, we can, or once it's on both, then we can clear it. Okay, so I think this will give you a chance to understand a little bit about what's going on. At one point as well, they're going to say, click off do not show corrections, because that's just in and out if you made a journal entry that was a correction. And then the other thing is you can see here, deposit slip 1, 437545. It cleared easily in both as that amount. But maybe we need to see some detail from some of the deposit slips. So if you click here, show deposit slip detail, you can see all of a sudden now there's a whole bunch of ones, and that shows you everything that you put through so that you can even look at the individual checks from the actual deposit slip. Okay, so we can take that off, but if we need it, we can put it on. Okay, hopefully this helps. let me know if you have any questions.